Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
So I hope everybody's having a great day. We had the video that we put up yesterday, the info on ascension, and that was overall, I think, very, very well received. Some good questions and stuff. And so our brother Mitch says, "Hang on a minute. Let's think of our bodies like machines or computers. There's hardware and software. You're saying that a hardware change affects the operating system. If we are multidimensional spirits in a physical shell expression, how is a certain thing being introduced to the body going to affect or chain weight down the spirit?" So some things didn't add up from his point of view on it. And there's looking at things in an analytical left-brained way, and then there's feeling and using your intuition. As Yoda would say, you have to feel the force. You have to know. Well, we do know some things, and it's fascinating that science is verifying so much of what we always understood in, say, the yogic tradition, or in the Taoist tradition, or in the Western mystery tradition. Very much we are kind of like these Russian dolls. And when I look at these Russian dolls, actually, I think of some of the representations of the Anunnaki I've seen, too, coming in all different shapes and sizes. But this is very much the way the energy body is structured, so to speak. And so very, very much we're kind of like, there's different layers to our being, and the 3D is the innermost core of this being. But we are, again, multidimensional beings. When we look at the energy body, and there's some psychics out there, like Barbara Brennan, that's seen 14 layers. You're only seeing 7 layers right here. But some have seen as many as 14 or perhaps even more layers. We really don't know how big it goes when you get down to it. But we do see here the first 7 layers, and corresponding to the 7 chakras, which correspond to the 7 lampstands. If we go into the biblical point of view on things and starting to look into the esoterica there. But the 7 chakras along the spine, which also are all related to different nerve ganglia. So it's interesting to see this. When the physical body does, it is shedded, so to speak. The etheric template as well will be shedded. The etheric template is that which is the blueprint that comes down from on high, that the physical cells, through mitosis, manufacture and make the body according to the specs of the etheric template, the etheric body, the etheric blueprint, so to speak. So again, we are existing on many different densities at the same time.
Well, and it reacts differently to different stimulations at different points. If you have traumas, then these traumas can stay in the energy body. And when you're trying to get information from higher self, it doesn't come in through to the 3D body directly. It might have to go around some knots. It might have to go around some blocks, and you don't behave the same. So it's interesting how it works.
Yeah, each one of us is here having a unique experience, and that's the whole part of it. That's the whole point of everything, is to have a unique experience, because again, we are all source itself, exploring its own creation from every single different aspect. And it's mind-blowing to know, well, many are familiar with the concept of reincarnation, and can grasp that. Transmigration of the soul, going from one body, one vehicle to another. But the reality is, we could even have lives concurrently going on at the same time, coming from the same oversoul or higher self. And so it's even possible we could even run into some of these incarnations. Reality, the true reality, because again, we're having an extremely limited, experience as far as most people go, without delving deep into meditation and prioritizing it to the point where you really do start to realize that you're far more than the body. You're something else entirely. And many people have had near death or experiences where they're actually clinically dead and then come back and they're totally changed. Often they have amazing abilities after that are, things that would be deemed paranormal, but they're not really paranormal. It's just misunderstood science at this point in time. And as we said, as above, so below. If you really look at the human energy field, it's a torus shape. And this is the same shape that the Earth's energy field is. And it's the same shape as that of the universe and the galaxy as well. DNA extends out past our physical bodies. And DNA can and is constantly being changed. It's actually being changed by everything that we do when we get down to it. You can liken it to a computer program in a sense. So DNA does extend into the higher frequencies. And in fact, we're constantly mingling and exchanging energy with other beings all day long, constantly. Again, this is all about experience. This is all about exploring. This is all about new and different possibilities continuously. We've talked about different timelines and timeline jumping. And in fact, there could be a timeline where maybe you didn't get a divorce from your spouse, or maybe you did.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, you didn't get an abortion, or maybe, you did. Again, there's all these different possibilities occurring out there. And so what can happen often, and is actually pretty common, is that there's fragments of us that get broken off. You might have heard the shamanic expression, shattered soul.
Mm-hmm. Right. Where you do soul retrieval, you do soul realignment. This is what shamans do. And they go in with their drum, kind of like how I go in with a tuning fork, and I go in and I retrieve that part of you that was broken or lost and put it back to perfection for you.
And we have so many people that we've done this with. And, talking today to two of our newer people, as far as people that we worked on just once before. And both of them, pretty much identical stories. Both, how you doing? Well, since the session, I seem to be clearer. I seem to be more focused. I seem to be more connected to my intuition. This is because of that integration that Cindy is talking about. And also their chakras are open, especially like when we're talking the crown chakra, getting that connection, that information from the higher densities. Think of it like with the Matrix, right? When Neo has to go into the Matrix, he sits down there and he's plugged in at the back of the head. Well, when your crown chakra is open, it's like you do that and you're plugging in at the top of the head, right at the soft spot on a baby where all the plates come together up there at the top. That's your plug-in connection to the higher self, because the higher self is having an experience down here. This is an experience. You could almost look at it like, this is a ride at an amusement park in a way. And you know what? You've chosen quite a ride. So that shattered soul experience is one that is actually fairly common, because traumas will do that. And again, with Lightworkers starseeds, we see the same recurring pattern of trauma time and time and time again. When these dark energies will use the same techniques over and over and over again in order to fragment out the consciousness. And in their mind, what they're trying to do is inhibit the soul from its purpose in life. So when we see in the Matrix, if you guys remember, Agent Smith would stick his hand into the person and this black goo would come out that would slowly turn the person into another Agent Smith. Mm-hmm. Very, very insidious, very, very much like a virus. We can again equate it to a computer program and a virus, so to speak. I think one of the key moments in the Matrix is when they found that what was happening in the Matrix when they popped out of the Matrix, well, you know what? Somehow that infection was working in that density as well. Mm-hmm. It was up in the higher density. So if we're looking at this matrix world, as say 3D, we could see it affecting the density above when they're back in the ship and they're unplugged. I think that was a very, very telltale piece of information that they had to kind of leak to us.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely.
Yeah, that replication. There's this replication going on here as well. And doesn't it feel like we're all being kind of told to, well, comply?
Mm-hmm.
As Roddy Piper, right? In They Live, the signs were saying OBEY.
Mm-hmm.
Don't question anything. Become an Agent Smith. Or, if you prefer Star Trek, be assimilated. Resistance is futile. Become one of us. We could go to Prometheus. Prometheus is I've watched this movie so many times because I feel that they really let the cat out of the bag there big time as well. There, humanity's trying to discover their creator, so to speak. And of course, the creator's right inside of us the whole time. But they're talking about the creator of the bodies that the spirit is inhabiting. And so we find a very, very Anunnakian looking being in some ways, giant, right? And unfortunately, they're not so benevolent. And actually, in regards to humans, he just starts killing them left and right. They're just a nuisance to him. Very, very english of him. But we see one of those beings in the opening scenes ingesting this black goo on purpose. And, ultimately, this black goo destroys him and goes on to infect other things and eventually ends up creating a new hybrid that's very dark, powerful, and kind of like a biological weapon. Interesting, I see a little spinning up there at that crown chakra right there as he's basically just watching his DNA disintegrate and break away because of the black goo. Good movie. By the way, quantum computers, they are out there. Quantum computing is a reality. There's so many things that are realities, such as, we've seen come out of the medical field how these tiny nanobots can get into the body and eradicate disease. Just floating around there, it just takes you back to, gosh, the 1950s with those old sci-fi movies, where they shrink people down, they go inside the body to fight disease. Yeah. You see, tiny robot implanted into the bloodstream. The robot detects the cause of your fever, travels to the appropriate system, provides a dose of medication directly to the infected area. A viable nano robot has to be small and agile enough to navigate through the human circulatory system, an incredibly complex network of veins and arteries. And as we also shared, as above, so below, there's an energetic equivalent of that. Now, our DNA is always changing. And even every contact that we've ever had, and you see here, this is something you might not realize, women may actually carry the DNA of every single one of their partners. Yep. We're not talking about kids coming as a mixture of two DNAs. We're talking about the woman being changed at a DNA level by every encounter. And many people might not realize that. You remember this movie? How about this movie? Donald Sutherland. His son's one of my favorite actors, Kiefer Sutherland. That was a classic movie. It was a classic remake of another classic movie, Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Oh, that's another one that, there's some info that might be leaking out. Watch out. They get you while you're sleeping. How many people are sleeping right now? How many people are sleepwalking? How many people don't seem to be quite themselves?
Mm-hmm.
We've been having some interesting conversation with some people in, important fields, let's just say. And they're starting to notice things. People might not seem to be exactly how they used to be. We need to remember that all the potential in the world lies right inside of us. The kingdom of God is within you and all around you. That is a huge statement. And Yeshua said, greater things you will do than he did. So how is that possible again? If not the fact that source lies within us just as much as source lied within him. Mm-hmm. And this is the human potential. The human potential is all about infinite possibilities. Infinite possibilities. As we're heading into an era where we could basically get our wings back, so to speak. And we look at the different ages, and Krishna left in 3102 BC, and then the Kali Yuga started. If we look at the timeline of Yogananda's master, Sri Yugatswar, we are already basically out of the Kali Yuga. And we are heading to a place where the dark energies can't go. So they're going to be left behind. Unless, well, again, this is a choice. It's up to each individual to make their own choice about their life. You know, will you let yourself go, so to speak, and allow that assimilation to occur, that assimilation into the Borg? Again, it's an individual choice. But as we head towards a 5D version of Earth, which is already there waiting for us, it's just a matter of us embracing it. You know, again, we have such a critical choice to make. And people are making this choice every day. I would not make this choice lightly. Not at all. And so, you know, the potential is there. The potential is literally unlimited. And when we think back to all the myths and legends of how the Earth used to be so magical, and it will be again. It is already on this 5D realm, where humans basically are like, quote unquote, the gods, the devas. And in the Vedic tradition, that is the reality. That when we're out of the Kali Yuga, as we head towards the golden age, our potential is absolutely limitless. As we see the legends of Sandalphon and Metatron, Enoch and Elijah, transforming humans into archangels. This is what is dormant in us. This is why dark entities will flee. You don't have to just call on the name of Yeshua Jesus. You just have to get in touch with the source that lies within you and know the power that's within you. So I hope this maybe brought some more clarity, more insight. Please, go right ahead and, share your questions, comments, concerns, any thoughts, share what you're experiencing. So many people are going through a roller coaster right now where it feels like you're in 3D one moment and then 5D the next. That seems to be the common theme.
Yeah, a lot of people are going through it right now. Really, really bad. So just hang on, do things as best you can, one day at a time, 1 minute at a time sometimes.
It's always darkest before the dawn, guys. Thanks for being part of the family. Make sure you are subscribed, have the bell clicked. Thanks for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon. We couldn't do it without you. Thumbs up if you did appreciate this and would like to see more along these lines. As always, God bless and namaste.
Namaste.